Welcome to Game Boyz News. I'm Pat.
I'm Bowman. Thanks for tuning in. Creator of the Five Nights at Freddy's series, Scott Cawthon's website has just recently posted a teaser for an upcoming Five Nights at Freddy's game.
Oh, I'm spooked!
The teaser says, "Sister location, there was never just one." So, I don't know what that means, because the last game was supposed to be the final chapter, so maybe this means there was never just one final chapter.
Right. Well, I think what it means is that his bank account is running a little low.
Yeah. I mean, I like the first game. I love the second one. I know your opinion on these games.
Well, I mean, the first one, I liked it enough. I liked the idea, and I thought that it was different. And, you know, I'm always for different, and I can respect the idea, and I can respect people that like the game, but it went down Shit's Creek real quick. I mean, this guy was shitting these games out like he just had Montezuma's Revenge, and the only cure was more animatronic video games. Like these games. Yeah, what is this? The fourth or the fifth one?
This would be the fifth one, if you're not counting the Five Nights at Freddy's, the RPG game he released.
The RPG, could you even call it a game?
I mean, he was even embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
But there was a whole line of fans defending him. I mean, this game attracts like the weirdest type. I don't know. I don't really know a fan base that's as similar as to this one.
Well, I mean, yeah. There's it kind of reminds me of like My Little Pony fandom.
You know, that's probably the most similar.
Where you have like a really large, most of the target demographic is small children.
Yeah. And
then you have like adults that are way more into it than they should be.
Yeah. So, bunch of deviant art pages and all that.
Right. You know, it's not for me. I think at this point the series has been milked, and
it's been milked pretty dry. I mean,
you know, it's a shame because when you have that kind of notoriety, where you have a really popular series and stuff, and you have a web page that probably gets millions and millions of hits, you don't need to do that anymore. I can understand, you know, at first he had unsuccessful games that just didn't take off, but now that he has this series, people are going to be watching whatever he does and supporting whatever he does, and he has a real opportunity here to do something different, and he's not. He's just doing the same old shit, and it's just disappointing. It's, you know, lost possibilities.
I'm sure he doesn't view it that way.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he doesn't give a shit. I'm sure he's enjoying all the money.
Yeah. Well,
in other news, earlier this week, a Kickstarter was launched for a Dark Souls board game. A Dark Souls board game. Now, I watched the footage here, and it looks like the game is focused around kind of an endurance-based gameplay. You have a endurance bar, and the amount of moves that you can do as far as dodging the enemies and taking your hits. It seems like they did a really good job at emulating the game in a board game scenario, that risk-reward type of gameplay. Now, the Kickstarter was set at $70,000, and it hit its goal of $70,000 in 3 minutes, which
holy shit,
I think might be a record. As of right now, it's been about 4 days, and the Kickstarter is over $2 million. So a $70,000 goal completely smashed. Do
they have any stretch goals at all?
Oh yeah,
like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
The stretch goals are never ending. This is a Kickstarter that is done right. You know my feelings on Kickstarter. It could either be phenomenal or it could be terrible. I don't support Kickstarters that don't do stretch goals, because I don't believe that if I'm backing your product, essentially I'm a producer at that point. Mm-hmm. If I'm backing your product and you tell me you need $50,000 and I say, all right, I'm going to go earn you that money, and you end up with $200,000 and your original idea was small in scope, I'm going to expect more out of you.
Yeah, for sure.
For having double, triple, quadruple, in this case, 50 times your goal. I'm going to expect more out of you. And dealt with a lot of Kickstarters that don't do that and then kind of just pocket the money.
The original goal was this. This is all we needed. Thank you so much.
Yeah. The original goal was $25,000 to make this album, and then we earned $70,000, and that was it. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the money. I don't like those kinds of Kickstarters,
No.
and this is a Kickstarter that's really done right. I'm talking every $20,000. It's pounds, so every 20,000 pounds, 20 to 40,000 pounds, it varies. There's a new stretch goal that's released, and when you're talking about a Kickstarter that 4 days in, still got 20 something days left to go.
Man.
4 days in, we're at it was a $70,000 goal, so we're at 20, 30 times what they originally wanted. You have stretch goals every day. I'm getting an email. A new stretch goal, a new stretch goal. These are all included for free. Just expansions for the game, new figures, props, like little set pieces that just kind of to make the game feel more like the Dark Souls video game. Just little things that add to the experience. New cards for boss moves. So originally each boss only has 5 or 10 moves, and then every stretch goal they add another 5 cards to vary the.
Is this a competitive game or is it a co-op game?
It's a little bit of both, I believe. There's not a ton of details on it. I'll link a video to the gameplay here, but it's like a co-op dungeon crawler, but I think there is supposed to be a competitive aspect of it. So yeah, it looks really cool. As you guys know, I love Dark Souls, and I love board games, and I haven't been this excited for a Kickstarter in a long time. Just the way that they have went about the stretch goals and stuff, they really just knocked it out of the park. So, that being said, I finally got around to reviewing the new Dark Souls 3 for the PS4, and here's that video now. The Souls series makes its triumphant return with Dark Souls 3. Supposedly the last installment in a trilogy, Dark Souls 3 is a return to the series' roots. Do I mean the original Dark Souls? Well, no, actually I'm talking about Demon Souls, the spiritual predecessor to the series, but I'll get to that more later. Right off the bat, the first thing you'll probably notice is that Dark Souls 3 is the best looking Dark Souls game. This is to be expected considering it's the first game of the current generation. The haunting orchestral score has returned, as well as the classic Souls combat that we've all grown to love. The name of the game here is Risk Reward, and Souls 3 does it very well. You have several different ways you can tackle obstacles in your path, which gives the game an insane replayability factor. On top of that, the New Game Plus is one of the few in the industry that completely changes up enemies and gear enough to make the game feel new again. This combined with the fantastic combat and scenery really made me want to come back for more and more over and over again. Now, I mentioned that I felt like this game was a return to the series' roots in Demon Souls. Like Demon Souls, Dark Souls 3 implements a magic bar system this time around instead of a specific amount of spell uses. Also like Demon Souls, when you are dead or unembered, you lose a chunk of your life bar instantly, as opposed to Dark Souls 2's system where it is incremental each time you die. Fans of Demon Souls will instantly recognize the similarities between the Nexus and Firelink Shrine this time around, as Firelink now serves as a central hub where all NPCs you find along the way hang out and sell you goods or give you information. On top of all this, there are hundreds of callbacks to the original Dark Souls. Without spoiling too much, I'll just say that you'll be running into some familiar faces and exploring a few familiar areas. All that being said, I do have one issue with this game. Dark Souls 3 is very linear compared to the original. I feel like Dark Souls really knocked it out of the park in regards to its open world and having the feeling of being able to just go anywhere at any time and do anything. But in Dark Souls 3, it was always very obvious which way I was supposed to go. With the exception of a few optional areas, I could really only go in 2 directions most of the time, and in some cases, just one. This felt strange to me in a Souls game, and personally, it wasn't a welcome change. All in all, I love this game. If you're looking for a compelling, atmospheric adventure game, then I recommend picking up Dark Souls 3 and giving it a try. It is a hard but fair game, I recommend not to be intimidated by its difficulty because any half-capable gamer is able to overcome its obstacles and reap its well-earned rewards.
Amazon Japan released something pretty interesting recently. They actually released a do-it-yourself Famicom/Nintendo kit. The kit comes with internals to create your own custom Famicom system. It also includes control pads, so if you want, you could do like a mod for a kind of a cool portable thing, or let's say you have a coffee table, you could put the innards in there and program your own like Famicom system. So this sounds pretty cool, like a nice little mod.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's always fun when they can release like guts of a system to the general public for a really affordable price.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's $30 retail is what it's going for right now.
So just kind of throw it out there, let people do what they want with it, and make like I said, make a portable system. And I don't know how I haven't seen the like size comparisons of the components, but I don't know how portable you could make it. But I am already thinking of a few ideas that I could maybe do with it. And from a hardware perspective, I'm a hardware guy, and you could do some really interesting stuff with it. And the NES probably is my personal favorite system of all time. That's what I grew up on. I was poor, so I didn't get the Super Nintendo or the Genesis until they were almost done. So I had the NES until I was like 7, 10 years old. That was my
well into the Super Nintendo's life cycle.
So that was my system, and so even more so, not even from the modding perspective, this is a $30 NES.
$30 NES right there, like
yeah. I mean, even you could just get a broken one and put that in the gut, put the guts in the shell. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to be done with it, and I think it's a good idea.
No, it's cool. I hope it's successful, because it would be really cool, like a few years down the road, starting to see companies release these as like the patents and all that expire, and we're able to do that. I don't know if we'll actually see this be released in America at all. I mean, you can still order it online, but interesting stuff. What pin connector does it use? Do they give you both, or? I imagine it's just the Famicom, because it's Japan.
I mean, you could just whatever you can get to your own. You can still
like mod.
I'm not entirely versed with Famicom hardware versus Nintendo hardware. I'm not sure if you can just hook an NES pin connector on there.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's just the pin connector that separates the two systems.
Right.
So, I mean, other than that, it comes to control pads. I mean, everything you need. And if you're already going to be doing something like that, I'm sure you're not really worried about making it work.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Nintendo, Star Fox Zero was released last week, and it's a huge letdown. Lots of mixed reviews, negative reviews, and the verdict is in. Nintendo's pushing those gimmicks again.
Yeah, this is a game, like, I fucking love Star Fox. Like, I love it. Like,
but specifically just Star Fox and Star Fox 64.
Really is what I'm getting at. Is, this was supposed to be, this was it, like, it's weird to me that they went this direction, because, like, this is one of their last, like, big titles in the Wii U.
Right.
Like, we don't know what's going on with Zelda Wii U. I'm sure it's still going to come, but, like, all the resources are clearly being put into the NX right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they took this move. On one hand, the controls, we both personally haven't played this game yet, so this is all us just going on.
From what I've read and from the videos I've seen and stuff, I know right off the bat they don't give you the option of using anything other than the gyroscopic controls, which immediately turns me off to a game. I cannot stand when motion controls are forced on me.
Required. I mean, I wasn't completely... I'm still going to give it a try. It's just that me personally, it doesn't look like a game that I'm going to shell out money for right away. Especially since I hear it's only about 5 hours long.
Yeah.
The big thing is that the controls are a huge learning curve, and then once you get past them, you're pretty much done with the game.
Right. Yeah, I've read that. Yeah, it's just a lot of missed opportunities, and, I keep telling people this when leading up to the release of this. Nintendo hasn't exactly been batting 1,000. I mean, you look at the last year of their releases, you have that Amiibo Festival, which was a huge failure.
Yeah.
And nobody liked it.
You're talking about the Animal Crossing game,
right?
Yeah.
Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. You got Mario Tennis, which was a huge flop. You got terrible reviews. That Triforce Heroes game, I don't think did very well.
The Hyrule Warriors and all that.
Yeah. Hyrule Warriors, I think it did all right.
No, it did okay.
But it's just not like, when I think of their great titles, I don't think of that game.
No.
And yeah, it's just not a lot going on. And when you get the opportunity to release a sequel to one of your most popular, beloved franchises, and it just really seems like they half-assed it. You know, it's short, and I think that it makes sense now. Right near the end, the last Nintendo Direct that they did on it, they kind of panicked and were like, "Oh, we're throwing in a free game with it too." Like,
yeah,
because they realized that they probably couldn't charge $60 for a 5-hour game in 2016. And I don't have anything wrong. I don't have any issues with a 5-hour game, but when you can get 5-hour games for $5 or $15 on Steam, or just the indie games, those types of games are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
So I just feel like they just dropped the ball, and they've been dropping the ball. And a lot of people were excited, and I was excited for it. I had it pre-ordered. It's not like I went into here thinking it's going to be crap. I went in being excited for it. I had it pre-ordered.
Same here.
Yeah. I had it pre-ordered on Amazon. As soon as the reviews started rolling in, I canceled my pre-order. Will I play it someday? Probably. But
yeah.
I'm not paying $60 for a mediocre game.
No, it's rare that I'm ever going to shell out money right away on day one for a game like that.
Yeah.
Just like, obviously Dark Souls, that's going to be a good game.
Right. I mean, $60 is just too much to expect out of people for a game nowadays, when you have really quality games coming out that are not nearly as expensive, or you wait a year, especially if it's a PC game, you wait a few months, you wait a year, and it's $5 on a Steam sale. There's just no reason to pay $60. You got to give me some real quality content to pay $60. So, and for me, it just wasn't there. So
it's just fucking Nintendo being stubborn again, in my opinion. It's just they can't give people what they want. They literally have to go, "No, this is what you want."
Right. Well,
yeah.
And it's just funny because when I was talking to somebody about this game, and we were talking about the controls, and it's just like the Wii U. The one of the major things about the system is we have a dozen different ways of you can control this system. We got Wiimotes. We got Wiimotes and nunchucks. We got classic controllers. We got the Pro controller. We got GameCube controllers, and we're gonna make you use the control method that the least amount of people enjoy, and not give you any other options. And you know what? I have one thing to say to that. Fuck you, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
This week in gaming history.
This week in gaming history, the 17th anniversary of Super Smash Bros. On a Nintendo 64, released April 26, 1999. This is my favorite gaming series. You probably know this already.
No shit.
I remember when this game came out, this particular game was something like, it was a very 90s experience for me, in the sense that it was one of those things where you start hearing people talk about it at school, and it wasn't believable.
Yeah.
It was not believable. I thought that it was one of those stories. Yeah, my dad works at Nintendo, and I've played Super Mario Brothers 4. Like, I thought it was one of those things. I'm like hearing this kid talk about it, and he's like, yeah, they got Mario and Charizard and like Pikachu and Star Fox all in the same game, all fighting each other, and there's Pokeballs, and you can pick up the items and throw the Pokeballs, and other, different Pokemon come out and help you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, kid.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't believable until I had a friend who got it, and we played it, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, I first heard about it because of the commercials. Do you remember the commercial where like they had all the characters like beating each other up?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I heard of it, and I had no idea what to think of it because I wasn't really big into fighting games. I would play them occasionally. There was like Tekken 2.
I was a Mortal Kombat guy.
I loved Mortal Kombat, stuff like that, but I was never good at them. And the main thing that made me crazy about this game was because Earthbound doesn't have like the big it didn't have the big following that it has now.
Yeah. And
that was like my like brothers and I's favorite game.
I mean, honestly, I would go as far as to say that the reason why its following has increased so much is because of that game.
Because when that game came out, no one knew who that little kid was, and it was fucking awesome for my brother and I to like recognize him. And I never thought I'd be playing a game where I play as Ness and fight Mario and this thing like that. That was just ridiculous to me. I never thought that could happen.
Well, I mean, that was kind of the magic of the series, is that if you grew up playing Nintendo at all, there was something in that game for you. Yeah. And even, new kids to video games who didn't maybe own a Nintendo or Super Nintendo, everyone was crazy about Pokemon at the time this came out. I'm pretty sure it was Pokemon 98 and something like that, and this was 99, and they included all the Pokemon in there, the Pokeballs, and they'll come out. They only had Pikachu that was playable, but, they included all these other ones, and just to have that in there instantly, it's, I was sold.
Yeah, like looking back now, like, as much as like we're spoiled by the new ones, just have like just such a ridiculous amount of content in them.
Right.
Like, even back then, like the amount of content they had, seeing this for the first time was incredible. The trophy system. The trophy was in part 2 though, right? That was Melee.
Yeah.
That was Melee. Mm-hmm. But I mean, going into Melee, from this point on, day one, everybody had to have Smash Brothers. It's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing because it's like the one point in time where even all the fanboy conversations, like fuck Nintendo, fuck Xbox, whatever.
Everybody loves Smash
But
Brothers.
when Smash Bros was being talked about, everyone was just like, oh yeah, Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, for me, it's the perfect party game. It's the quintessential party game. It's, you can set the game up with items and everything that anyone can play it, and have a good time with it. And with the newer versions, you have 8-player Smash and stuff. It just keeps getting better, keeps growing that party atmosphere. And, I threw a party when the new one came out, and we had 16, 20 people there. We had a big tournament, and that's the kind of atmosphere that this game brings. And it's just, for me, there's fewer things I look forward to more than a new Smash Brothers game.
Yeah.
And not even the new Smash Brothers game, but just the anticipation of what new characters they're going to have. And, this game, this is the one that started it all, and I love it. I just in love with this game.
Fucking love it. I mean, just to go into more like local multiplayer aspect of it, like you don't really get too many games coming out where people still get excited about local multiplayer, like going over to people's houses and playing games. Like, and this game just continues to recapture that and reinvent it every time it comes out. So, I mean, like you said you had a party for the Wii U one, but we even had a get together when the 3DS one came out. Mm-hmm. Like, this game fucking sells. Like,
it sells, and this is like one of the few franchises for me that I will buy a system for it. You can have a system, you could have put fucking Smash Brothers on the N-Gage, and I would have bought an N-Gage for it. Like, I don't care what the system is. I will buy it. I don't care if you don't have a single other game. You could just come out with the Smash Brothers, the system, and it's just a console with Smash Brothers on there. I will buy it. I always get the value out of it, and I always dump hundreds of hours into it. It's never ending. You play online, the trophies, you can collect all the trophies and all the mini games, the sandbag, and it's just you can really tell with this series that they pour their heart and soul into it.
Oh yeah, and it's become so well respected that I feel like developers are like almost honored to have their character in the series now.
For sure. And this last one is, you got Pac-Man, Ryu, and
Like Cloud. Did you ever think you'd see Cloud in a fucking
No.
Smash Brothers game?
It wasn't even. He's not even on a Nintendo
He's
system.
never. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Smash Brothers, 17 years old today. So go out, dust off your N64, and break it out. And until next time, we'll see you.
Bye bye. Do you want to play Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival?
No.
No.
No, stop asking me that. I don't want to play that fucking
I got the new Isabelle Amiibo.
I want that Isabel. She's kawaii as fuck.
She's so kawaii. I like her little cardigan.
I keep trying to buy that one from the person online.
Oh really?
And I just lower the price every time. Every time they don't respond, I just send them back another offer with a dollar less. And I'll buy it for $15 just for the amiibos in there, really. Just to have the game on a shelf. Just be like 20 years from now, I'm like, yeah, I have that game.